I'm calling from Los Angeles, and I'm having a little problem under the name ThatUmbrellaGuy. I sent him my phone number at least 20 times in the chat and told him to call me. He ignored me, or I'm a man. I filed the report. If you guys could take a look at it and give me a call back, I would love to hear what you guys can do to help us. We really need to kind of stop this guy at least until Monday. I told him to call me, or I'm a man.
We love that umbrella guy. All right. Thank you.
Under my umbrella.
All right. Hey there. Hey, wow. This is working, at least for now. What's up, folks? Welcome to hasn't been an edition here for a hot minute. But yeah, I mean, this stuff, it has gotten kind of crazy. Now, when we talk about Russell Brand, too, I want to make something clear. I want to make two things clear, actually. Number one, I'm not saying that there won't be something found later on. What I have a problem with is the instant destruction of a person by accusation alone. And especially considering the fact that we should default towards someone being innocent. Innocent until proven guilty. That should be the rule of everything. Unfortunately, it is innocent until accused. And then the truly disgusting thing about accusations is that once the accusation is planted, that accusation becomes real. So it doesn't matter if you did something or not. You did something. I mean, that again, it doesn't matter. You did it regardless. And that is not justice in any way, shape, or form. What makes it even worse is the fact that when you start investigating what is being put out, there are some serious questions raised. There are serious questions raised about how how information is presented, about what exactly is presented as fact. I mean, everything you could tell. The motivation is not guilt or innocence. When you look at motivation, you could still be guilty and people just turn on you, at a certain point because of whatever. You can tell they went after Russell Brand because he wasn't walking in lockstep anymore. You can tell They admit 4 years. Look at the timeline, what he's been doing for the last few years. Kind of fits into that. I don't believe they spent 4 years, by the way. I feel like they've plotted going after him for 4 years, possibly, but they sure as hell didn't spend 4 years on that documentary. And the way that documentary was shaped, you could 100% tell that that thing was a hit piece. Again, could there be things? Yes. And there are things that are alleged that morally are jacked up, but moral is not illegal. That's where you get into the distinction for it. When there's been disgusting, I mean, there's some disgusting allegations, but some of these allegations, they don't fall into illegality. And the conversation that is put forward is one of illegality. In fact, the documentary itself, I thought about watching it on Rumble. It's available, and I want to show you something. I'm going to show you it unedited, okay? Because I edited this stuff for videos because, of course, you know how the platform is. Fallen Hero, thank you, by the way, for the gifted membership. But let me pull up something. Now, I want to discuss, I did a video on this item today, and I want to show you something. Like I said, I find this rather alarming, the way that this is presented. Give me 1 minute. Try to stop their stupid, I pulled up their documentary, and it is such a craptacular thing that it doesn't like to stop when you're looking at it. But here, let me, I'm saving the unredacted version of what I mentioned in video. Just give me a second here, and then I'll pull it up and we'll talk about it. This was, again, from their own documentary. The way that they frame it is totally wrong. If you have a problem with me saying that, if you're like, oh man, he's an open secret, I've seen people say that. Well, they need to prove it. The one thing I always liked with the Lincoln Lawyer, if you watch that movie, he gives some pretty inspiring speeches. And one of them is about the job of police. The job of police isn't to find you guilty of something that you didn't do, to manufacture evidence. It's to utilize evidence in its intended way. That's the same thing that reporters are saying that they do, but they did. So here, for example, you have the report that came along with this. This is the text we have discussed. I'll talk about it in just a second. I'll give a little more clarity. Did I say Fallen Hero? Thank you for the gifted membership, by the way. If I did, thank you again. If I didn't, sorry about that. Mark II, thanks. The older I get, the more I think 80s films like The Running Man are less futuristic fantasy and more documentary. It seems like it sometimes, doesn't it? It really does. So here is the report. Look at how they present things. And they do the same thing in the documentary with the text message, the one that is very questionable, but they do the same thing. They blur out everything that's here until, this is a screen grab, by the way, from the documentary. They leave in this is a phone contact. This has the date of it. The date is the exact same date of the message. And when you look at what they're doing here, they're building a narrative where this, I'm going to call it ARP, or I'll call it R. You know what I'm talking about there. That narrative, you can see they highlight just the act that is described, that you have a voice actor or AI describing in there, because we don't hear from the person themselves. They don't redact the portion that says, for her situation, she reported that situation for her was even more complicated due to the assailant's celebrity status. But when you look at this here, if we took this at its word, what they present here as fact, that's not what it says at all. This is an argument about whether or not. See, they went to a clinic to get themselves tested for an STD. And the conversation about that's what this is about. Condom or no condom. It is not about the no means no that they paint. Again, some of the behavior here is, if true, again, prove it. If they paint things in a way that are untrue, then prove what you're talking about. Then fucking prove it. And the problem with this is you can't fact check this. Why? Because everybody here is anonymous. Of course, they're not truly anonymous. BBC did an interview with the person they called Nadia. They did an interview. They were very familiar with who they are. They implied anyway, the way I understood it, that person too, they work for Channel 4 now. So that's a strange conflict of interest too. The place that is putting together this, they're an employee for it. I mean, again, they had a relationship with him. And also, I find it disturbing. And again, I'm not saying this does not happen, but if you take an accusation, like the accusations we see when they come out of the woodworks, they're decades old. In fact, the brand allegation that, people are now saying, oh, there's a police report. Well, there wasn't a police report before. The police report came after the documentary, and it is of an alleged incident that happened in 2003. And we don't really know. I mean, hopefully there's something there if they're going to go after it that way. But I mean, with what they presented, again, there are some true problems with this stuff. I'm going to read this. And again, this thing is rife with problems, and they present it just like it is factual. M4A now, thanks for the 5. Glenn Greenwald did a great piece on the situation, pointing out how they dramatized the hit piece and embellished the accusations. Indeed. And they did 100%. Rihanna Ra, thank you for the 5 there. The mainstream media awarded Russell Brand as Shagger of the Year. Yes, 3 years in a row. Indeed. They loved him. Now they're calling him out for his alleged behavior. Yes, they are complicit. If this stuff is true, if it turns out to be true, I hope everybody takes BBC, and I hope that everybody takes Channel 4 to task, because they should cancel themselves. In fact, like I pointed out yesterday, what makes this very questionable too is the fact that Channel 4, who was part of this process, they went into damage control mode, and they were like, yo, we don't really know what's there. It was an incomplete investigation. Wait, what? You didn't review what you aired? You have no idea what was there? And the production company that was talked about with the show, they weren't contacted? That's what we're hearing. They're just now launching investigations after the fact. Like that. That's strange. And so Russell Brand on this stuff too. Let me show you something else real quick. So Russell Brand, it doesn't matter while all of this is going on. Again, it's like I said, right from go. The accusation becomes the proof. And that's all any platform, agent, anything has needed to cancel the man. So he's going to have to prove himself innocent. That is not justice. You, in anything else, if you're accused of criminality, you have the right to defend yourself, and you have the right to face your accuser. Unless you're accused of this shit. Then your life is destroyed before you can ever go anywhere. I mean, you had his agency drop him. Shows are dropping him. YouTube has now suspended his monetization. This is what they do. They could do it to anybody. That can happen to anyone. And that is beyond messed up. Again, he doesn't have a chance. See, he shouldn't, when something comes out, this is the problem with the internet anyway. People think, man, He should launch now, respond now. No, he should take his lawyer's advice, put together a solid case, and crucify mofos if they are lying about you. You pin them to the fucking wall if they're lying about you. But you do it by going in and exhaustively looking at what's there, getting everything that you can, because it is an uphill battle for you to go out and to face those accusers. The system has been rigged there. The very things that are in place to protect people are not there when it comes to people that are accused of, again, this. You have protections against these very type of actions until you run into this, because the protections in the legal system are actually geared toward protecting accusers. And this entire social system is geared toward accusation validity. That's wrong. That is 100% wrong. YouTube acted off an obvious hit piece. For them to do so, for them to placate, again, it just shows you, and it also shows you just how jacked up. Like I said, with Amber Heard, she, some of the people associated with her, let's just say, they contacted YouTube before the trial happened. And like I said, if JD would have lost that trial, many of us would have went down. That's the thing. Even talking about this shit, it's unreal. It's unreal. I don't even know how to pronounce it. Let's see. Something girl. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your name there. Thanks for the tip. And the one up. I'm terrible with names that are easy to read. My brain didn't process it today. Thank you. Simon, thanks for the 10. Did you see Tim Ballard just got accused of sexual misconduct? Yes, I did indeed. I saw that. I thought I would cover that too. See, okay, do you know they suspended channels for talking about that movie? They suspended them for conspiracy theory. See, if you're a conspiracist, you're automatically removed from this platform. That's one of their rules. So if they want to label something misinformation or conspiracy, that's how you get rid of it. What are you bringing down here? 1 second, my daughter. What are you bringing down here?
This thing.
What in the world is that? Is that the bottle dollhouse?
Yep.
Hey, take it upstairs. Sissy knows how to open it. I don't know how to open that. Just show her. Be like, hey, open this up, and your Paw Patrol toys can play in there. You know, take it upstairs with you. I think you'll have fun with it. She had a big old toy. She was asking me to open it. I have no idea how to open the thing. Heather, thank you. Welcome. Thank you for the membership. Welcome, Tugs Thugs, by the way. Is that Raquel? Thank you for the 2. Look at Stealth in England, UK. I'll have to look at some of the, like I said, I'll have to look at some of the craziness that comes up, because there's so many. This is what I was saying about accusations. Accusations got so bad. I used to try to cover a bunch of them. If you look at my channel, I used to do 3 videos a day, pop them out 3 videos a day. And at one time, they were all about accusations. The problem was that 3 videos a day wasn't enough. I couldn't keep up with all the I just couldn't keep up with the accusations alone. There were that many people being accused within. They were either actors, politicians, celebrities, people in, like, say, comic book industry or whatever. I mean, there were that many. And again, there are monsters out there for sure. But it was unreal. What you have sometimes is a giant name that comes up. And remember, I'm not comparing the two, but you remember the way that quote unquote evidence came up with Johnny Depp. That should be a cautionary tale, because the quote unquote evidence that was presented, you had things like the slamming cabinet video. It's set up for over half a decade, and you found out that, hey, that video actually was missing the front and the back of it. And you found out that, hey, that video actually was missing the front and the back of it. And you found out that, hey, that video actually was missing the front and the back of it. And you found out that, hey, that video actually was missing the front and the back of it. And you found out that, hey, that video actually was missing the front and the back of it. And you found out that, hey, that video actually was missing the front and the back of it. And you found out that, hey, that video actually was missing the front and the back of it. And you found out that, hey, that video actually was missing the front and the back of it. And you found out that, hey, that video actually was missing the front and the back of it. And you found out that, hey, that video actually was missing the front and the back of it. And you found out that, hey, that video actually was missing the front and the back of it. And you found out that, hey, that video actually was missing the front and the back of it. And you found out that, hey, that video actually was missing the front and the back of it. And you found out that, hey, that video actually was missing the front and the back of it. And you fo It changed the context of it. It was done intentionally. But people, they decide right off the bat that all of these things, they imply guilt. I mean, look at the road that took. It took from the accusations that truly, if we even chart it from 2018, even though there was this growing insanity that popped up from 2016 on, but really in 2018, when you look from there, and I mean, you think about that, it took 4 solid years and millions of dollars and a steady stream of information to showcase people what happened. And you still had to have that trial publicly. Otherwise, and even now, the mainstream still works against them and more. So when you look at that rush to judgment is a problem. And for Russell Brand, again, YouTube suspending monetization there. And you notice the wording, like I said. They're not only talking about the allegations against him, they're talking about him being a wellness and conspiracy influencer. Like I said, that word right there, they have managed to splash it everywhere. And all of these fuckers, they go up behind the scenes and they push for YouTube. See, that's what they do. You can actually see proof of that, even when channels like this one were targeted. So when Rolling Stone targeted myself over Amber Heard, and they targeted a bunch of people that covered Meghan Markle, they were, I'm going to call them Meghan Markle critical. I think that's the best way to approach that. The person initially doing that had been hired by Amber Heard, Chris Boozy, Bot Sentinel. They had been hired to basically put together proof of bots and all kinds of other horrible shit. Well, he started doing he did quote unquote research that was probably I don't know. I've seen better research from third graders. I've seen better research, honestly, in Crayola myself personally, but I digress. But what you saw is the Rolling Stone, they covered that. And Boozy whined that he could not get YouTube to do anything about it. So Rolling Stone contacted and tried to get people demonetized. And in one situation, they managed to do that. That was just in a small instance. So, when they all had this giant mess, and again, Russell Brand has some pretty powerful enemies. It really lends credence to the fact that this is a coordinated effort, that they have been trying to destroy him. And now you got all the Herdies, all of them, they are definitely all over it. So today I saw a really interesting one that was posted by Ian Miles Chung. He was talking about Cat Tinbarge. Cat Tinbarge, of course, if you don't know Cat Tinbarge, by the way, I'm going to go through a few people here. If you don't know Cat Tinbarge was an intern when the Johnny Depp trial rolled around. In fact, didn't start watching that trial at all. Tuned in to writing, oh my God, look at those YouTubers. Basically being a Taylor Lorenz light, but shilling for an abuser of men got her a full-time position. Now that's what she's basically done. She tries to destroy people over accusations alone, and she does that repeatedly. So she decided to go after Ian Miles Chung, and apparently she's putting together a hit piece. It'll be curious to see who she adds in, again. I haven't been keeping up with emails, so give me 1 second. There's also here's another thing with YouTube, by the way, just a note. His subscribers, they were actually growing. Like when you or rather Twitter, for example. Okay, so on Twitter, all of this had a different effect. Or I'm sorry, on YouTube. I said Twitter. On Twitter and YouTube is what I meant. So on Twitter, his numbers jumped, but on YouTube, they jumped heavily. And I think that's another reason. Like, you have this craziness because ultimately people distrust. I saw another. I'm not going to say who, okay, because I like the person that said this, and it's not being asked toward them. But I saw somebody talking about how even they, in their innocent until proven guilty, they use a mantra that really bothers me. They use the mantra trust but verify. They also called what's happening these days believe all men. And I was like, that's disturbing in many ways. First of all, trust but verify. The word trust implies that there's truth behind it. It's real. You got to verify that. You trust the person there. You didn't. Why? Why the fuck would you do that? Trust leads to this thing. I used to love doing psychological statistical reports. It was one of the things when I was GAing in college, teaching people how to get their mock thesis together and stuff. I would teach them about statistical methodology, God, stuff I haven't practiced in a long time. But one of the things you always talked about is confirmation bias. If you trust someone and you go out and you look for something, you aren't treating a person like they're innocent until proven guilty. You're looking for a way to verify their information. That changes the entire thing. That is a terrible method, in my opinion. On top of that, this idea of believe all men is a bunch of garbage, because at the end of the day, there are people, now mind you, there are people that, just like there are people on the other side of this, that turn this into men versus women. That is not correct. When you look at this, what that admits to, first of all, is overwhelmingly the false allegations that we've seen. And I'm not calling this a false allegation. I'm just calling this allegations. But the false allegations that we've seen, they overwhelmingly hit men. Men are overwhelmingly accused. And this stuff ruins their lives. Men overwhelmingly have their lives ruined with this. Men are overwhelmingly imprisoned. Men also, when you look at overturning, men overwhelmingly have convictions overturned. Not always, but sometimes there's females in there. But it overwhelmingly is the thing with men. So a return to the baseline where people are questioning is not believing all men. It's saying, no, I'm not going to tar and feather a person simply because someone came out and said something's true. Now, that is not the fairest way of doing things either. But unfortunately, we live in a world where you can't afford not to be critical, because if you're not critical, I mean, the first thing I ask, police report. Is there a police report involved? No police reports. And again, I understand that's not always going to be the case, but that's something you look for. You also look for other pieces of evidence that surround this. And then when you look at something like, again, this documentary they took items and they misrepresented it to the point they took jokes out of freaking comedy routines done years ago, when you have a different social environment, when all these people loved Russell. They loved him. I mean, they were lapping it up. I remember how big he was back when. I remember that. Oh, kooky him. He's a sex addict. Ha, ha, ha. That was his thing, because he really was. But he joked about it, and they loved him. Again, like somebody mentioned earlier, he was by the Sun. Give me 1 second. Like my cigar. Somebody asked me if that's something else. That is not. That is a cigar. It very well is, for real. But they would take things from when they loved him and weaponize him. And also, this is another point I like to bring up. You see this again. I'm not comparing cases, just noting something. You see it with people like Russell Brand or Marilyn Manson. The things that made you uncancelable in the past, not giving a shit about anything, joking about it, saying the worst things possible. Because if you say the worst things possible, if you claim them, you're spitting in the face of authority. You don't care, right? Well, those things have made you cancelable in current year. They definitely have. So the social paradigm shift has taken away that armor. And the armor wasn't about something that you were doing. It was about attitude, mentality. It was about, shock rockers. The same thing, shock DJs. I mean, people like, if Howard Stern wouldn't have leaned into politics so hard, he would have been canceled, in my opinion. He still may. I mean, who knows? But one of the things that has made him impervious to it is, unlike Russell Brand, he went the other way. If you don't like me saying that, also, if you think that, like, I don't like any political party, I make that clear. Anybody new? I just not a political party person. I think we have a uniparty, and they work against our interests. So they buzzword us, they lie to us, and they let this shit happen all the time. If they truly wanted to represent us, yeah. But anyway, I digress. I'm not going to go off on that. Wonder does. Thank you for the gifted membership, by the way. Appreciate that. I think I saw 1 second. 1 minute. Wonder Dust, actually. Thank you for the 2 gifted memberships. I see 2 in there. Thank you for that. I was making sure I didn't miss something. Sorry. I like to be timely. If you're new, I know there are a lot of new people. There were about 3,000 new people in the last few days. So I don't know who's popping up if you're new, but I try to make, I look at here. I don't have a lot of guests because I consider you the guests. We talk about what's going on. I read what you're saying because ultimately you are this channel. That's the way I look at it. Again, other people run their channels, however, but you make these channels. People forget. They say, "Oh, my fan." You're not the fans. You're the channel. I'm just the mouth of the channel. You can disagree with me on whatever too. You're welcome to. It's all good times. But anyway, back to Cat Timbarge. So Cat Timbarge is a doxer, very much so. What are the 3 people that was named in the courtroom with Amber Heard actually had her husband doxed, and Cat Timbarge bragged about it openly. I mentioned back then, she's doxing, da-da-da, and she was like, "Yep, sure am," and she posted doxing material. She just flat out. Those are the kind of scumbags that you're dealing with. The worst of the worst, the quote-unquote tech journalists. Like, totally. Like, I'm totally a journalist, I dig it. It's like, you are not. That little, God, I can't remember what they call it. At the end of a speech bubble, when the end comes out of the mouth, that little point, you're somewhere right in there because the thought itself eludes you. I mean, geez. Anyway, Manic Mouse, thanks for the gifted membership too. Caddy said she's not a journalist. She totally is. Actually, the funny thing about it is she's a failed ASMR YouTuber. She hates YouTubers because she failed at it. That's one of the reasons she goes after that. Because she tried to be. She was like, "Oh, don't I sound so beautiful?" You're like, it didn't work. She's like, "I hate you all." That's the good stuff. But anyway, she's contacting Ian Miles Chung about why he's sticking up for Russell Brand. This is the way they're going to go forward. Laura, thank you also for the gifted membership. Thank you for that. Like I say, thank you all for that there. So Cat Timbarge. Hello, my name is totally Cat Timbarge. I'm going to stop that. And I'm a reporter with NBC News. Oh, shit. Somebody called me a professional the other day. I was like, "You think I sound like a professional?" Fuck it, for fuck's sake. I used to talking pickle freaking Yeah, anytime you're like, yo, that dude is a professional. Remember, this is one of my avatars I go on shows with. Anyway, I'm a professional. I'm a professional. Here we go. I'm a reporter with NBC News in New York City. I'm reaching out to request comment for a story and about response to sexual assault allegations against Russell Brand on X. It sounds like he's using ecstasy, doesn't it? Oh, he has these he has these allegations on X. I mean, that sounds so strange to me. The story looks at how the platform X, formerly Twitter, has reacted under the leadership and direction of owner Elon Musk. It's a hit piece on Elon Musk. In fact, this is a way to change the goalposts back against Elon, and I think some of it is revenge from people like the Amber Heard team. Because this is one of the main Amber Heard team. This is her mainstream media shilking it. One of them. I mean, it got her a freaking job there and everything. Elon Musk, we get the book, we get all that stuff. Lo and behold, you got something else. Got a tar and feather Elon, just like everyone else. Actually, I got a video set up for tomorrow about how, again, it's all revenge. It's always revenge, baby. But following Brand's own video posted the day before the Times BBC investigation was published, Musk had used his personal X platform to denounce and discredit the reporting in the allegations. So, you have the ability. He actually commented beforehand. And what he was saying is, we're tired of. Let me make this clear. I am hypercritical of Elon Musk with a lot of things, but credit where credit is due. Elon has been falsely accused of shit. Falsely. He has had crazy people accuse him of, like, not only doing horrible things to them. I covered one of the court cases that was brought against him in California. It was by this lady that was obviously unhinged. She was saying, like, Elon Musk was standing outside with some hired henchmen throwing poop over her over the gate where her car was at because I guess jilted lover or I can't remember, but I was like, my God. I mean, he's been there though. I mean, he's seen that stuff too. Although at the same time, he supported a false accuser as well. So yeah, when you get yours on that. But still, I mean, he's about facing, and he's saying with other people, yo, this is broken. Maybe dealing with people like Ambret, he kind of learned a lesson. I'm not really sure. Who knows? Who knows what goes on with that man? But let's see. Other X power users like Ian Miles-Chung, Andrew Tate, Jake Shields, and Tucker Carlson, formerly of Fox News. You notice they put that there, Fox News, because again, that tells you what kind of hit piece they're putting together. This is all used as political fodder. That kills me, by the way. They have turned the worst thing that happens with women, or really one of the worst things. Many horrible things, but that is. You can argue that someone ending you is the worst thing, but sometimes surviving something that can be it leads to that end anyway, and the road to that is just it's horrific. It is and these people have turned that into not only clout, but political clout and fodder. I mean, it's so fucked up. Like, that bothers me. It bothers me so much. These influencers have rallied around Brand and followed his lead in referring to the allegation as a false agenda pushed by mainstream media in response to Brand's anti-media turn in recent years. Now, you know what? It very well, again, I talked about motivation versus allegation. Motivation and allegation are two different things. That's the thing. You've got to remember motivation. Why did you put this thing together? What exactly is it? And then allegation. Well, is there still truth in it despite that? The motivation is very clear, in my opinion, when it comes to Brand. It's to damage Brand's brand. That is very clear. Because again, all these folks loved him. They applauded him until they didn't. And why didn't they? Well, it's pretty obvious. In this piece, we link out the Times investigation and note Brand's denial of the allegation. We mentioned that Brand, per his own words, seeks to critique, attack, and undermine the news. That's why they hate him, too. He's their competition. We're all their competition. You know, it's like this. Like if I look at my own, okay, so I live in an area with, it's small. You know, the whole county has around 13,000 residents. I mean, it's a big county. It's just, it doesn't have a lot of people, but they have a localized paper here. Now for my YouTube, I pull much more as far as hits than they would. So a Brand, when you look at what he's doing, he's able to do that, but he's doing it on a mainstream media scale. And they don't like that. I mean, they're out there jingle jangling the old the beggar cup. You know, they're like, oh, give me money. And they do that all the time, by the way. If you go to somewhere like HuffPost is probably the best example. In every one of theirs, they have if you don't pay, if you don't allow us to do this, if you don't donate, we won't exist next month, because their overhead, you know, is ridiculous, and they're a dinosaur. No one trusts them. So ultimately, the reaction here, it's not a reaction of necessarily an endorsing Russell Brand. It's a reaction to people like Cat Tenbarge. They are the ones that if they wanted actual credibility, they would flush all of these nastiness down the tank. They would fucking stop the political hit pieces and more, but then they'd have to give up that fun shill money, you know, which keeps them alive, because they get money. They get a lot of money behind the scenes. But anyway, continuing. In the piece, let's see. Whoop. We also include Travistock Wood Management Agency cuts ties with Brand after the report was published, saying it was horribly misled by him. Like, yeah, so they try to make it look like them trying to keep their brand intact is proof. Again, it's proof after the fact. Oh, you mean you saying that somebody did a horrible shit? Get somebody fired from something? Well, the firing, that proves something. It doesn't. All that proves is that society is in the flusher. That's what it proves. And we see it from some of the smallest things. Again, people talking about things like the beer bug would cost them their livelihood. It did at one time. It would flush people's lives. So I mean, it's not like this thing is just on a Russell Brand scale. You know, we're not talking about giant platformers. We're talking about even some of the smallest ones out there as well. We include a link to Brand's YouTube video posted the day before the investigation was published. We state in the video, Brand said all his relationships at the time of the allegation occurred were always consensual, and note that Brand referred to the upcoming investigation as a coordinated attack with an agenda against him. That day, Musk replied, again, you can tell this is all about Musky Musk, to Brand's video on X and wrote, of course, they don't like competition. You notice they don't like it. They decided they'd put together an entire piece. They would coordinate on it. And you know, Tinbarge saying, oh, well, we included this stuff. That is a drop in the proverbial bucket of what's going to be in there. I guarantee you this thing, it is going to be a sewer. It is going to be an absolute sewer full of allegations and their words. You know, words are powerful too. Like I've mentioned before, I work in mental health. I used to do individual therapy all the time. And as an individual therapist, you may have a client that is on medication, but despite that, you put them with a therapist. Why? Because of the power of words. Words have the power in the right hands to help people find their way back from some of the worst things that ever happened, to find the extremely mentally ill, to shine a light where they can find a pathway forward. But words in the hands of people with malicious intent turns into life ruination. That's what that is. It's very powerful here, because again, the thing about, especially with allegations, see, when you read an allegation, it's kind of, I'll return to the example because everybody saw it with Amber Heard. Okay. When she was on the stand, when you saw the words, you got a lot of different cues. You got the absurdity to the stories. You saw the absurdity play out. If you would have seen this just through written word, first of all of it, you may have still seen the absurdity, but not as clearly. And then if you put it through a mainstream media lens, if they became the arbiter of truth, they are the only lens that you get to see it through. What does it become? Well, it becomes whatever they want it to. And they do that often. They do it with anything. Again, that's a critique of them, but they turn it into a defense of Russell Brand. So the next day, Chong and Carlson both made posts supporting Brand's statement that the investigation was part of an agenda. Chung compared the allegations to controversies, including other high-profile men. Tate, who was indicted for human trafficking in Romania, wrote, "Welcome to the club," and tagged Brand's account. First of all, Andrew Tate, I have my very strong opinions on Andrew Tate, by the way, but Andrew Tate is not guilty until proven innocent. It is the other way around. He still has to face a day in court. And they treat it as a foregone conclusion that has already transpired. Again, there is a standard that is supposed to be applied there. But they'll tell you, that's just a courtroom standard. Okay, mofo. Then just if you can accuse people of anything, then sometimes I think, well, maybe 5,000 people need to accuse you of something. I mean, if that's the standard, and then you would change that standard. Anybody that says, listen and believe, they don't say that when they're accused. They're like, yo, what about evidence? What about it? Wait, make sure. Because they always change that too. Always. Because nobody believes that absurdity. If anybody, it always bothers me when I hear the believe all or believe women. And again, the reason for that is because people lie. It's not because of the women part. It's because people lie part. If you truly believe that, I would challenge any of these folks to put together, we'll use Facebook standards. You can have 5,000 people following. Put together a room that allows 5,000 members on Facebook, or whatever, just a place. Put your banking information in there with all of these random women and see how much you could trust them. Now, nobody would do that because that's absurd, right? But they have the expectation that you will do that when it comes to other things that very much would ruin people's lives. And we as a society, we just bad along. Like, it fucking bothers. Again, all of this stuff, it bothers me. It weighs on me because this is not justice. In the world that I would like to see, not leave behind for my kids, I would like to see a place where you could believe people. You could believe all. You know why? Because we've made it where false accusers, they don't want to falsely accuse because they pay for it. I want a world where we actually give justice to victims, not a world where we create more of them. Because the people that are falsely accused, they very much are victims. And you'll never, like say, okay, there was a good question about Channel 4 and their investigation they're launching. There was the question of, first of all, how are you going to carry that out? Which is, are you going to be public and above board? And are you going to publish those findings? Which typically, no. No matter what they find, they're not going to publish findings, because nothing, they want people not to remember that they were part of that. Even if they did, though, what you see happen with follow-up is a follow-up typically gets, if you're lucky, it gets a quarter of the traffic as the accusation itself. When you drop that first bombshell, but people in this day and age have a TikTok mentality. They have the attention span of a fucking gnat. That's why, I came to this conclusion. You know why it disturbs people when someone like myself will do videos about a subject for 4 years? Because they can't concentrate past the cup of coffee that they had in the morning. They can't concentrate long enough to stir it, because that's the mindset we have these days. So it's unbelievable for many people out there that you could actually do something like, I don't know, investigating a topic. And again, for me, my methodology is this. I look at the accusations and I look at every piece that is presented. Like I talked about text message. I talked about the problems with it. Why I talk about that? Because it's a piece and it's presented as if it is, some of the answers for that were, well, it's a graphic. No, it's not. It's presented as if it is a real world comparison of the text messages that we saw. Them doing that, they have either manipulated something, they have either presented it falsely, or just through manipulation. So either way, it's either a lie by omission, or it's just a flat out lie. Either way, it's it's fraud. It's a fake. Either way, that is a lie. Like I say, people get mad about, like, when I tell something fake or I say something as a lie by omission, like intentionally vilifying somebody and trying to burn them to the ground. Yeah, that does matter. What's up, Mashed Potato Goblin? Thanks for the 5. Tug for U.S. Senate. Oh, God, I'd hate to be in the U.S. Senate. That'd be so bad. It would be good, though, for the health benefits. And it would be good for, you'd never get fired. So, that's pretty much, job for life, baby. You get some good money, too, I guess. Those health benefits would be awesome, though. Fallen Hero, thanks for the gifted membership, by the way. Thank you for that. 2012, thanks for the 2. Tug, half these people don't know what a woman is. That's true, too. Even the ones that say that they are, they definitely don't know how to. They act like they channel their inner monster. That's what a lot of these folks. They don't know what it's like to. I don't know if they know what it's like to be human. Period. Bad Goat, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships too. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. So Chong's response was, "Hey, Cat," or "Hi, Cat. I'm not sure if the piece is up yet, or if you're willing to add my comment to it after it's been published, but I'd like to say the following. The media has been," I would have said, here would be my comment, FUQ2. That would be mine. It'd be like, oh my God. I'd be like, hell yeah, Cat, you trying to buy me another platinum grill? She'd be like, oh my God, he's talking about monetizing me again. They hate that. That's the way you do it. Oh, they hate it. They hate it. You'd be like, they're like, I'm gonna get you. You're like, I'm gonna monetize you. And they're like, no. I love it. I love it. That's how you have them off. What's up, Pastor Flash, by the way? Thanks for the 6 month. Oh my God. I've waited a month for this. Y'all, you all. Screw you. I hate the word y'all. I hate the written form of it. It's co-opting. How dare you? How dare you steal this culture, you monster. Anyway, continuing. I do hate it there. The media has been quick to judge Russell Brand for allegations made against him without due process. I believe Brand, like anyone else, deserves the right to a fair trial, even if the court of public opinion even in the court, rather, of public opinion, and that no one should be so quick to cancel him for allegations that may or may not be true. While each and every one of us is entitled to our opinion on the matter, I can't help but observe that his previously libertine lifestyle was not only tolerated but celebrated by the media during his heyday. Very much true. Very much true. Ever since he came out as a quote unquote conspiracy theorist, that label, by the way, again, that label, like I said, it is meant to destroy you, not just discredit you. Like people think that's discrediting. It's not. In this day and age, you get banned for being a conspiracy theorist. You're not only labeled unhinged. And what are his conspiracies? It's about certain shot, the military industrial complex, things that even if you 100% back, again, anyone that believes that these monolithic corporations, they are acting in your best interest, your interests may align with theirs. They may help you, but they don't do it intentionally. So, by default, now you may disagree with him, but that doesn't make it conspiracy. He's just noting his opinion. He's opining, and you're allowed to do that. By asking inconvenient questions about the establishment's narrative on contentious political subjects, there has been an undeniably concerted effort to drive him into the ground. I very much believe that. I think that is 100% true. Sandy, thanks for the $5, by the way. Just wondering if you received a Cassie's flag. I did. I was taking a picture of it. I need to get better lighting. I was going to post it today, but I was like, that doesn't do it justice. I did. I got it today, though. I got it today. So that is awesome. Regarding the controversy, I appreciate that too. That is awesome stuff. Like I said, I'm going to post stuff, but I want the best before I love it. I absolutely love it. It's cool. So Sandy there sent I love cactus. By the way, you want to send cactus or anything? And if you want to send anything, I have a PO box. Send away. But she sent cactus and a bunch of other items, like cool items, but also this flag, and the flag is cool. It's got its own graphic, and I'll just have to show it. Like it again, I'll post it. I just want to get a perfect picture for it. But regarding the controversies facing other high-profile men, I could point to how the media ran a concerted effort to cancel Joe Rogan when seemingly quote-unquote racist comments he made early on his podcast resurfaced on social media. Julian Assange faced 2 counts of sexual misconduct that led to him being wanted for questioning in Sweden, his later arrest, and eventual confinement in a British prison for charges that have since been dropped. And Elon Musk finally faces accusations of anti-Semitism for his hardline stance on supporting freedom of speech, but not freedom of reach, a distinction that many seem to have forgot amongst other spurious accusations. And just as I pointed out, they all have one thing in common: their willingness to speak of the unspeakable. I could keep going, but the list of names is as long as the list of subjects people are not allowed to talk about without facing some form of wrath. As for Russell Brand, why not just leave it to the courts? If he did commit a crime or even multiple crimes, then the media isn't helping these alleged victims by coloring the case and painting the backdrop for the jury before there's even a trial. And in the event that Brand himself is the real victim of false allegations, the media is acting not as a neutral observer, but as a prosecutor and executioner who's already determined his guilt. That is a good statement. That is actually a very good statement there. I have to give that kudos because that is 150% true. But 10 bars all over it telling you. And there's another one. There's a really good one. Let me hit this super chat here. Ray, what's up? Ray. Thanks for the 50. Speaking of Gripped, Hefty website go live anniversary, buddy. Yes, indeed. So 1 year ago, I started working with Ray there. 1 year ago, my merge got shut down by Teespring because I had a wrong think opinion. And they were like, oh no, we got to shut you down any way possible. So we built ThatUmbrellaGuy.com. Ray built ThatUmbrellaGuy.com. I say we, yeah, that not so much we, but since then it has been glorious. By the way, check it out. It has great merch, but it's been a glorious year, and here's to many, many more, buddy. Thank you. Thanks for everything you've done for me, man, and thanks to this lovely community. I wouldn't be where I am without y'all. I had to work at y'all, and yeah, props to Ray. Props to all of you too. Like I said, I appreciate all of you. Very much so. So check this out. I'm going to show you someone else. Man, Ray's good people, by the way. If you ever need work, like a website or something done, he is the person to go to. So there's another person I want to point out. One of my favorites here, Rebecca Jones. Rebecca Jones. Now, you may know her from politics, but there's another story to her. Rebecca Jones is actually beloved by the mainstream media. She's beloved by many politicos out there too, because at the end of the day, one second, I got a kid walking in. 1 second.
I'm eating rotisserie chicken, and I think it was Dale because he didn't pay his taxes.
You're eating rotisserie chicken, and you think he was killed because he didn't pay his taxes? Is that what happens to rotisserie? Is that what happens to chickens when they don't pay their taxes?
Yep.
All right, well, go enjoy it.
Their
Here.
chicken.
Make it out.
And what?
Hey, wait, no. No, this is not a kid-friendly topic. Not today. You can come back later, okay?
They're all dead.
Yeah.
And I
Rotisserie
also
chicken.
want to know where my iPad is because it's either in the car or it's in the house. And
Is it not in that big old bag?
The big old bag is in the car.
I'll go get it after the live stream, okay? All right. Angel, thanks for the 5. F cancel culture. I'm angry. Indeed. People should be angry about this stuff, for sure. And Geolines, thanks for the 10. Speaking of... Yeah. Speaking of censorship, can you believe the crap Camelot 331 is going through? Oh, yes. This is crazy. So let me mention this while I get this pulled up. So let me mention this first of all. Camelot 331, YouTuber, friend. I like Camelot. He's funny. Says whatever he wants. He was banned, perma-banned on Twitter because he made a comment as a joke, but that's not what got him banned. What got him banned was arguing with a bunch of jackasses out there. So after that, of course, a Not Camelot popped up. And guess what? Not Camelot got flagged offline too. Instagram, he was also taken down as well. There is a mass flagging campaign, a massive one that is going after him, trying to destroy him. And all because some people just can't tolerate. They can't live and let live. It's like, I'll show you. It is such a, you want to talk about like some kind of beta move. That is a beta freaking move. I'm going to flag you off the, it's like, are you kidding me? Hate it. Hey, Marianne, thanks for the 9 months. Brand is now an enemy of the state. Indeed. And again, it speaks to the motivation to take down, and they'll do anything. Again, they will do anything. So like I said, I believe motivation, it is correct. So Rebecca Jones, like I said, Rebecca Jones is beloved by the mainstream media, and she is beloved by people who just delve. They think politics is the end all. They think that if people buzzword a certain way, you're one of us. Now, there's another side to her, but I want to note the reason that she gets these opinions and it gets a lot of likes on them first before I put that there because, well, yeah. So anyway, she got into it with the state of Florida. She was supposedly a whistleblower who went out and showcased information on the beer buck. That is a very contentious subject, by the way. People loved her for it because, again, depending on your politics there, many people blindly run in. But guess what else? Oh, she's a stalker. That's right, a convicted stalker. Now, if you've never heard of her, by the way, yeah, she's a heck of a case. So she ended up when she was teaching, not grade school or anything, but when she was teaching, she ended up having relations with a student. And she ultimately got fired from her job because according to the reports on this, she threatened his roommate to destroy him. She was if he said anything about it, if he got in the way of the relationship, she would ruin him. And that, like I said, that got her fired. So fast forward a little while. Apparently she didn't get what she wanted from that relationship. So what did she do? Well, she wrote I can't remember how many. I mean, it's a very lengthy dossier. If somebody remembers how many pages it has, it's a ridiculous number. But she wrote this dossier of allegations. The allegations, of course, nothing substantiated, but what it had in there what you would call, I'm going to call it revenge prawn. You know what I'm talking about. It was chock full of pictures of the person that she had been stalking. It had very explicit photos in there. She sent it to all of his family members. She would post it everywhere, including under his job and more. And she would try to, again, is it 200 pages? Is that what it was? Prawn. Prawn. Oh, yeah, 200 pages. It was crazy. It was like an insane number. Can you imagine sitting down and making 200 pages of allegations? So anyway, inside of this, there were text message exchanges where she just out and out threatens him. I'm going to come to where you live. I'm going to do this and that. She says she has a daughter, and that daughter, she claims it's his. Okay. And this is unfortunate because it sounds like this kid is really being utilized as a weapon, But, because his lawyer wrote back saying, well, if you show us evidence, we could do a test or this or that. And she'd never respond. But she was saying, the kid was sick. And how dare he not respond? And I mean, again, threats, craziness. She was going to destroy him. Neither one of them would make it through this. Well, he had a protective order against her because she's absolutely batshit crazy. And despite that, it didn't matter. I mean, he had one originally, and when it wore off, that's when she released the dossier. She waited right until it ended. Well, the police investigated that. They brought charges against her. Those included stalking, and she pleaded no contest to cyber stalking after doing all this insanity. Okay, the day of or the day after, I can't remember. It's like right there, I can't remember how it lapses. It may have lapsed within the 24-hour to 48-hour span. But the day of or the day after all of that happens, she goes online and doxes the person. She puts out pictures of them. She puts out their name, talks about, where they are. And she says publicly, it doesn't matter because the courts can't do anything to her. You know why? Well, she's moving to a different state. I was like, man, you're an idiot. But anyway, that's this person that is moving against multiple people, putting out statements like Harvey Weinstein. You notice how they'll mix in names here. They always do this. This is such a duplicitous way of doing this. Harvey Weinstein. We all know Harvey is a fucking monster. You know, Harvey is an easily proven monster too. I mean, all you got to do is what he did. You know, there are people that actually say, well, the people that he was doing that with, they wanted something from him and da da da. No, he did this to his secretaries. He did it to everyone. He would take advantage of people very much so. And he would do things non-consensually. I think that was very well proven. So Harvey Weinstein deserved what he got. He was, I would say, if we gave Me Too any type of victory, that would be it, taking down Harvey Weinstein. That was a good thing because he was untouchable before this kind of stuff. So, you know, for every good though, it feels like for every good thing, it's like, God, 10 bad things seem to happen. But okay, like Johnny Depp, they threw in Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp proved that he was a victim. But it doesn't matter. You know why? Because this is a list of men. They are all males. So all males are aggressors because that's the way it has to go, right? So it doesn't matter if he walked away missing a finger and had a cigarette put out on his face because some low-life piece of garbage accused him of stuff. Therefore, Danny Masterson. Now, I looked through enough of Danny Masterson trial to confidently say that Danny Masterson was done in because of his ties with Scientology. You know, there were a lot of reports with Scientology covering up stuff. I mean, Scientology at one time, you could get away with anything with Scientology. And it seems like in the last few years, you've had a very bright light shined on what they are. Andrew Tate. Again, Andrew Tate, you know. Andrew Tate is still awaiting trial. Like Andrew Tate is admitted to some jacked up stuff, though. He is, and you know, he's admitted to manipulation not only women but men. Like you know, for people who are like manosphere, baby. You know, well, he said, you know, one of his talks about e-girls, he would talk about men and them wanting to get women into the country and using them, taking all their money, basically leading them on and stringing them on, you know, taking everything they have. I mean, that's horrible, you know. So the but what he's accused of there, that's a different story. I don't know about. Again, I want to see what's presented. I want to see 100% what's presented there, and maybe Andrew Tate's own words will do him in. Never know. That'll be. But again, you have to have a standard. The standard. I have my own opinions. I'll tell you whether I think someone's guilty or innocent. But at the end of the day, you know, I'll tell you by looking at evidence. I try to do an exhaustive look at evidence, unless somebody just flat like Shia LaBeouf flat out admitted to putting his hands on his accuser. Okay, that's an admission of guilt. He's guilty. Like he admitted it. But I try to do an exhaustive look at everything I can, and I will formulate an opinion just like anyone else. But there's a standard to that. Are they actually guilty or innocent? Well, you know, they if you're going to accuse them of criminality, the worst things ever, they definitely need to go to court. Now, the court system is flawed too. It is very much. But the other system here, so this is a problem. I mentioned this the other day when I was talking to Sean Atwood. See, we say we learn more from the past, you know, in order to build a better present and to build a better future. You know, we look at the mistakes of the past. Well, one of the mistakes of the past is false allegations. Now, the way it's framed is different, but you think about it. One of the things that false allegations still chew up, primarily, overwhelmingly, young, Black, and It used to be young Native American men. Still, though, when we're talking about conviction, system chews them up. We say we learned from that lynch mob mentality. When people like Emmett Till, they ended up being accused of something horrible, and they ended up paying the ultimate price for that false allegation. Now, you think about that, and you think about the comparison to today's social climate. We have had a return to form with false allegations. And the allegation itself, when it is substantiation, you just never know. You don't know anymore. So the courtroom, if people have a problem with things, what people need to be doing is they need to be aiming at the law, at the court, and making sure that justice is indeed served. What you need is open trials. Now, I get that's controversial because, oh man, the accusers, what about their anonymity? What about that? Well, the media can go and sit in. Anybody can. Like, primarily, all of these cases are open. So why not? I'm not talking about like family court or anything else either. I'm talking about, I don't want to dig through people's dirty laundry as far as that. I'm talking about people that accuse, period. If you're saying, so here's a standard. I've mentioned this many times, but I think this deserves repeating. The standard here isn't not believing anyone. If somebody comes out and they're saying, man, I had this horrible thing happen to me. I need empathy. I need support. Well, that's not a problem. Why would you question that? But if they're saying, and that was done by that person over there, well, then that has a burden of proof. And again, if it were in the court of law as a spectator, the problem is that now the way society is, that allegation will just destroy a person. It doesn't make it to the court of law. So, yeah, you want to get it right. And, if they are absolute monsters, screw them, right? But you got to prove that too. And of course, on that list, Russell Brand. They all deserve to rot for what they've done. The people who defend them deserve the same. This coming from someone that, again, victimized another person, that unquestionably stalked them, harassed them, threatened them with the worst of the worst. I mean, that's what you're looking at here. That person believes that they deserve not to be on this list. Why don't they deserve to be on the list, by the way? Because, well, obviously female. Obviously. It's obviously them. But it's a privilege thing, It's amazing. Like, again, this is not all females' faults, but this is the mentality that many of these people have. And, people are just willing to overlook it because whatever. They overlook all kinds of horrible social ills. Like I've talked about, one of the biggest scams that came out of the Me Too situation, and really should have been a damning thing. Time's Up. I don't know if people, like, not everybody realizes that Time's Up wasn't a social movement. It was a quote unquote nonprofit, although some people profited off of it big time. In its first year, a nonprofit should be spending overwhelmingly the money that it ends up receiving toward its stated goal. But it was spending about 8%, I believe, on its stated goal, while spending 33 plus percent on the salaries of 3 people. Roberta Kaplan is the lady who ended up getting tied to Cuomo, ended up not believe and listen and believe, and they pushed it, ended up getting tanking times up. And they didn't get tanked because of all the fraud and the bullshit with money. No, they got protected for that. They actually got hit because dealing with the political enemy. That was pretty much the problem. But since she's part of the trial team that goes after the Orange Man, and again, that is not a commentary on the Orange Man. I'm just saying, since she is part of that, she is a media darling. She is just like Rebecca Jones, wrapped in that political armor. She's given a pass. That's the way it works these days. It works there, and it works very well. I mean, these are some of the people that have done some of the worst things ever. 2012, thanks to Megyn Kelly's trash and setback men versus women. Now, I saw the commentary on that. I believe, like, I believe we have a problem with this. It's not just a rush to judgment. It's the way some like I'm not going to sit out here. This is not me. If I'm mad about something, I'll sit out here and I'll yell. I mean, that happens sometimes. But I'm not going to sit here every day and yell fire and brimstone. I'm just going to talk about what I think, see what you guys think about stuff, and I'm going to present what I see out here. Especially people that traffic in political, they don't. It's fist pounding, and it is ugly sometimes. It is very ugly. I think that's an unfortunate social byproduct of echo chambers and everything else. Let's see. Now, there are a few other people that have joined into this too. I'm trying to see if I captured the Eve Barlow. Eve Barlow, man, I can't believe sometimes the amount of just crazy that comes out of freaking Eve Barlow. They've what they're trying to do though is they're trying to take Heard, and this is a thing that bothers me. It bothers me quite a bit. In fact, they take Amber Heard and they attach her to every single case that's like this. Every single one. I mean, it's nutty. What is this? Give me a second. Oh, I saw something. Somebody sent me something. I was like, is that about now? Give me 1 second. I was trying to see if I could find all the Eve Barlow stuff. I mean, so the Eve Barlow. Here, let's look at a few of Eve Barlow's. Give me a second. I'm grabbing them because somebody sent me these, and of course, I'm not going to put their email account online. So give me just a minute. I'm clipping a few of them. Eve Barlow, though. Eve Barlow is she's a funny example in a lot of ways of what happens to people when they go down these routes, because Barlow was respected, at least by, or feared. Maybe respect is the wrong word, but she was definitely feared by her peers because she was one of those high profile cancelers. She'd get all over people, and she'd 100% destroy their lives. Then with the Heard situation, it went on long enough that she drove herself and all her credibility right into the ground. She showed the world real time going after a witness on the stand and lying about it. And that, I mean, here we go. 1 minute. Oh, by the way, I want to add one other thing to Rebecca Jones, too. There's another statement on that. I want to add that. So just give me a second. Because as far as her conviction is concerned, I mean, There's more of it. Okay, here we go. All right, I got it. Give me a second. I'm pulling it up now. Pulling it all up. It took me a minute. Like I said, I had to screenshot because I don't want to put somebody's freaking email up. But the Rebecca Jones. So Rebecca Jones, as far as everything she did, here's some good commentary on that. Just again to give you an idea of what passes for a quote unquote advocate these days. So Rebecca Jones, breaking unemployed criminal. Rebecca Jones has already been found in violating her probation terms. You can see like her no contact with victim awareness, batterers intervention program, no early termination. And, she went out, doxed and more. And then you have this, she didn't threaten revenge porn. She actually did it. Then pled no contest to criminal stalking, was sentenced to 1 day in jail, time served, and a year of probation, which she immediately violated as soon as she was sentenced. So, I mean, when you think about the gravity of it, when people talk about cyber stalking, no, the cyber stalking had so much more added to it. That's who's out there preaching this gospel. And a lot of people are applauding. That's the craziest part. 2012, thanks for the 2. Please keep attaching a turd to all these cases. Yeah, well, I mean, she goes like all of these folks, they have found one thing that works for them is to continually, like, again, throw her in there. Throw her in. And it's like I said, it's crazy. So this kind of stuff, it shows you the mentality there. Dear men who are worried they're next, stop ARPing women. So that's a response to false allegations from a false accuser. A very notorious false accuser, not just a false accuser of Johnny Depp. Again, a witness. She decided to present false evidence, which ended up in the courtroom. There was a hearing over it. She ultimately got booted for something other than that, but that was brought up. There was even the lawyer that presented it was like, "Oh, I wasn't aware that was blah, blah, blah," because he didn't want to get in trouble for it. But yeah, any of you can be next. It's primarily men, but it's not all men. In fact, there's as far as convictions are concerned, overturned convictions, there's databases of that. And if you look through that, you don't find, when I say overwhelmingly, there's a point to that because there are women in there as well. There have been some crazy cases, of everything from false arrests to planted evidence and insanity to just false accusation, and a person ends up getting convicted. Somebody, especially if they, like Russell Brand, has socially undesirable features. And what I mean by that is this. You remember the same thing that was used against a Depp. You're a drug addict, you're this or that. It makes it very easy to put you on trial. But that doesn't, and it can be, I would venture to say that Amber Heard with her alcoholism and stuff, she would more meet the criteria of somebody. If I were looking at somebody in their type of substance abuse, I would say this person, they meet the criteria, and they not only meet it, but they have 3 relationships in a row. Assuming the public, assuming you don't count in anything else, and we don't know what's happening behind the scenes. But you have Tasha Van Ree. She ends up getting arrested at an airport for attacking Tasha Van Ree. That gets dismissed because it's just an inconvenience. She's arrested in another jurisdiction. So it becomes an inconvenience to drive her, but she did end up spending time in jail. more. Then you have going right into Johnny Depp. You saw the craziness there. We don't need a rehash of that. Then you heard about Elon Musk. I covered the Elon Musk stuff, and that was crazy, by the way. I think, like I said, I think some of this isn't just going and trying to. It isn't just with the Elon Musk centric attacks. Of course, they want to go after him because of politics and more, but it serves more than one master. And a lot of these people, some of these randos out there, they work hand in hand. This is not conspiracy. This is 100% true. They work hand in hand with the PR team. They do. That PR team is still working hard behind the scenes. They work with specific media outlets, calling you out Penske Media, calling you out Rolling Stone, calling you out Variety and Deadline. Like I said, argue that. I would love for them to fucking argue that. But there are also specific accounts out there. They get the PR head pats. They get head pats from Amber Heard. Very much so. And there's a reason that a lot of this happens. So you have this. Let's pull another one up because it brings in other people that are part of that old team Heard. You have Charlotte Proudman. Now, Charlotte Proudman hates men. She is a friend of Amber Heard's, actually. She is she's like a real life friend. And she wants, this is crazy because she hates men. And she wants there to be changes in the courtroom where if a man, this is all about men, where if a man is accused of something horrendous, he shouldn't be able to fight those allegations. Why? Because of the good of the kids. Because that might dissuade future victims from coming up. So the allegation itself from somebody that practices law, they think that law should be changed in order that an accuser of their words, they become protected under law. They've been advocating for that. So, I mean, you can see the repost here, all of them, of course, linking together to those saying they don't believe Russell Brand's victims because they didn't report to the police, even if they reported to the police, and even if the whole world saw him abused, or many still wouldn't believe it or care about it. Now, the care about it right there, yeah, I would include people like Charlotte Proudman in that. Again, if he was a good puppy and walked lockstep, many of these people wouldn't have cared anyway. There's also another type of care, as in people just don't give a shit about the subject at all. That is true. But it's not framed like they want to do that. But they, there are many reasons that people don't end up using the police. But there's a problem with credibility that comes up. A police report goes a long way. If police see evidence of that, they document it. Or they document the accusation. Yeah, baby.
Do you have any Benadryl?
Benadryl? No, it's not.
I have a headache, and
I'll give you some sinus stuff in a minute. Why don't you go lay back because your sinuses are probably draining first of all with the weather change, and then I'll get you some stuff to help you sleep for tonight. Okay?
Yeah, and I need Benadryl.
I hear you, future pharmacist of America. If you want to go,
I actually am going to get a degree.
Yeah, I have a degree actually. So.
No, you don't.
Yeah,
you never were a doctor.
I'm not a doctor. No, I am not a doctor. I have a master's degree.
I'm gonna go read my post secret book.
All right, go read.
Because I have nothing better to do.
I think she's telling me that I haven't got her tablet yet. I'll get it in a few minutes, baby. I'm almost done. Okay.
Hey, lazy bum. You won't even tell me where the Benadryl is.
You don't need to know where the Benadryl is. Maybe he's cold sipping. She said that. But as far as police reports are concerned, they do go a long ways. Again, there are many reasons that they don't happen. But we live in a we live now in such a warped society that a person, again, they can go in and say, hey, 20 years ago, this happened to me. And you're just supposed to rely on the words there. 20 years ago. I mean, again, the poison to that is there is no way to prove it. And then further than that is the anonymity factor. You get an army of anonymous folks, and here's the thing. People get so pissed when I say it this way, but this is true. Quantity in anything. If you went in any other thing, I was like, oh, you want to buy some eggs? You want a dozen eggs? Well, how about I give you 96 rocks? I mean, that's good, right? That's more, right? No. You want eggs. Well, as far as accusers go, quantity is not quality. It's not the thing that you're looking for. I could throw out many items. Again, in anything else, we don't accept the idea that quantity makes something good. But in this, we pretend that the number of people that end up pouring out of the woodworks, when it's not just, see, there's plenty to gain. See, people pretend that there's nothing to gain. Oh, there's plenty to gain. In a society where a person recently took a hammer to their face so they could sit online and talk about how they had one of the sex gangs pick them up. They accused random men of doing horrible things. These accusations. They almost destroyed people. Yeah, I mean, that tells you they did it for clout. Another person recently, they had a one-night stand, and they felt so terrible about that because it was going to destroy their marriage that they decided to report that they were kidnapped. They ended up buying rope and more, and at the end of the day, you know what would have happened? Sooner or later, you would have gone back to the person they had relations with. There's plenty of reason to lie. There's also, if enough people get out there and they manage, I mean, there could be money involved. There could be all kinds of reasons. But, I mean, there is I hate that this becomes clout. This is not a clout thing. It should never be a clout thing. If you become known because of something that happened to you, people aren't doing that because they don't stand up and tell these harrowing tales because they're seeking clout. Oftentimes, they're seeking either empathy or closure. That's for the true survivor or the true victim, depending on where they are in it. And people that take that and they turn it to clout, they are. If the deed itself is arguably the worst thing that could happen to a person, then the people that take that from the people and they wear it again, the stolen valor, they steal that. They pin it to themselves like so much metal. Yeah, that should say something. We should vilify those people in a way that it should dissuade other people from doing that. Their name should echo into eternity. That's how I feel about people like Amber Heard. You want to know? Again, I think there should be a cautionary tale. I think a person goes in and, again, practices a life ruination tactic to that level. They should be a cautionary tale for the next person that does it. And the cautionary tale should be mapped out. It should show what happens with their career. Some of these people are so crazy. They burn every bridge. They burn their careers up and everything else because they're vindictive. They're hateful. They have a motivation, and that motivation, it ends up consuming them. And again, you don't have to cause the cautionary tale. They did. But she definitely, noting that cautionary tale. Like I said, maybe that dissuades the next person that does it. That's how we get to the point where we're not creating more victims. And maybe, like I said, one day we can believe all accusers, because all accusers are actually, the majority of them at least, would be telling the truth. What's up, Albatross? Thanks for a lot of identity critical theories teach followers to not go to the cops for assistance. So this tweet just adds more damage in an already frayed relationship. Indeed. And I'm not saying the cops will do something for you, but it puts something on the record. It again, when people are like, hey, what went on? Well, I did that. Then you have Jessica Taylor. Oh my God. Now this person ended up having so many problems. This is another friend of Amber Heard. This person, if you look their name up in controversy, essentially they were taking people's stories and monetizing them, using them without permission, without consent. And as a quote unquote doctor, they don't believe in I can't remember all the stuff they said they don't believe in, but it's wackadoodle stuff, man. It's crazy. But what is VAWG? What does that mean? Do VAWG, feminist women. Somebody tell me something. Very average white girls? Is that what that means? I'm not sure. I'm just guessing. Is that a shot at white women? Because if it is, I want to. I don't know. I don't know what that is. Let me look that up. Personality discord. VAWG. Oh, violence against women. How does that violence against women? What's the G stand for? I don't know. I don't know what that means. Very angry white girls, maybe? Violence against women and girls? Is that what that is? Is that a classification then? Like, that's a weird way of saying it. Like, why do we have to have an acronym for that? Like, that is the dumbest fucking acronym. Like, to add to do the VAWG. I was looking at it, I was like, is that again, is that an insult? Yeah. Oh, okay. Anyway, it makes sense, violence against women and girls, but it doesn't make sense in the way this comes together. Does that feminist women see scruffy, drunk, skinny, long-haired dudes getting called out for being abusive prick and just melt or what? And of course, who they've got to use there. And look, they get 153 likes because, oh, raw, yay! Again, another AH team member there. Again, very close circle of folks. And you notice they always take any time they can. The majority of them that I've shown you, every other post, they do that. They tie them into every single case. That's why I like tying Amber Heard into cases, because it pisses these people off. It's really funny to see them go nuts. And again, she is the if you look up false allegation, it's like C Amber Heard. But yeah, I mean, you notice the pictures there. They're taking Russell Brand and comparing it there. That is a poison in and of itself that actually can backfire, because people will automatically assume that the stuff lies, just like Amber and her group of people they told. Again, they won't look at it as innocent until proven guilty. They'll look at it as falsely accused. And one of the reasons that happens is because these scumbags do this. if you group enough people together, again, they can put a large group together and sometimes that works for them. But if they do a one-to-one comparison, that has its own. Again, a lot of this it's their poison, it's their brand. But anyway, the Russell Brand stuff is interesting. I think we're going to get a lot more of it too. I think we're going to see a lot more. You're going to have a lot more accusers that are going to come out of the woodwork. That does not mean that it's real. That's we used to realize that you're going to have some mentally ill people that'll come out. Of course, they're going to think, oh man, they had relationships. I mean, we saw we saw we saw a couple of those pop up in the Depp trial. Like a lot of people never saw. There was a lady that came out that was saying that she was like I can't remember under cover police, I think it was. She said that she and Johnny Depp had an illicit relationship. That Amber Heard had gotten in a car with them and confessed to all this crazy. It was just the craziest shit you ever heard. But she was obviously mentally ill. She was very mentally ill. You'll also have the people that seek clout. You'll have just people that, again, there are so many people that are unfulfilled in life these days, and that gives them something. The applause, the backpats, it makes them somebody. Remember, we just saw the lead singer of Rammstein. He was accused, and the police not only said that they didn't find anything to try there, but there were reports coming from Bill, isn't Bill German, I think? Isn't that where they're from? But anyway, the reporting agency there, they said that she is facing a potential police investigation now. The police are looking into her. That move against the lead singer of Rammstein, it was heavy. One of the videos alone accusing him got millions of hits. And if you watched it, people were applauding it and stuff, just like they did this documentary. Again, not comparing one to the other, just saying how this stuff works. And that was up hell. People treated it like it was real, and all it was as exact. It was accusations from anonymous women. There was nothing in there that backed up. They were talking about recruiting and all this stuff. They were saying, there was a person that worked with the band to recruit women to go in, and they would drug them and stuff. And as far as you would think you would have a chain of messages that would prove this consistently. And the only thing they would show is there would be somebody. Of course, they would pick out pretty girls, of course, pretty women, I should say. They want them front and center because one of the selling points to a rock star is, oh man, look at them. They can have parties all the time. Again, it's this selling of this image, but that's all they show. They show people getting invited to pre-concert parties or post-concert parties, but they didn't show anything after that. They just used something just like, again, it was misrepresented. There would be nothing else. The stuff that was presented in the aftermath, there would be video that was presented that you would look at it and you think, I didn't see anything there at all. They'd be like, no. If you slow it down and you really look at that, look at how I'm carrying myself. I must be drugged. And I was like, it looks like maybe you've been drinking. You look tipsy, but I mean, is that proving something? And apparently it didn't to the police. They were like, well, there's no proof of that. So anyway, John, thanks for the 10 there. There's a theory some have that Katy Perry is behind all of this. Russell Brand asked for a divorce over the phone seconds before she went on stage at a show, and she just sold a bunch of her old music for $225 million. I could see that as a theory. I think it's more, I think it's a political thing, you know. I think it is. I'm careful with again. I find the motive ideas they're interesting, but I am careful with stuff like that because that's accusing a party that if I'm going to say something like that is factually true, that's an allegation. There's there's not just a line in, well, they're also innocent until you can prove that they're guilty of that. But on top of it, that's a good way to get yourself sued. You remember that Critical K? I don't know if you folks. She joined up with all the. She used to be a YouTuber, big drama YouTuber, and she's joined up trying to rebrand with the Amber Heard folks. She tried to do it after the Netflix documentary dropped. And what was crazy about her is she not only was writing love letters to a serial killer that murdered his wife and 2 young daughters, but she also was featured in a documentary calling one of the victims horrible names. But on top of that, she ended up getting sued by a family for, I don't remember the exact, I remember the total she ends up having found against her, but I don't know if that was the amount. I'm just going to say $500,000 because that's what she's going to end up losing here. She decides that she's not going to comply with the court. She's not going to show up. She's not going to take it seriously. She brags on social media. She's not going to take it seriously. Why? Because all the judge is going to do is find her in contempt, right? Yeah, she got a default judgment against her for $500,000 because she decided to go out and to say that a family member of a person that we're going to say ended themselves tragically. They were, I believe, a mental health professional, if I'm remembering it correctly. They somehow had something to do with that. And they sued her because she intimated knowledge of it. She just made it up on the fly. And then when she was sued, like I said, she didn't take it seriously. And now she has a $500,000 and she's still alive. Like that amazes me. Like, if you end up going $500,000 into the hole because of something stupid that you did, maybe you should not be online. Or if you rebrand, maybe you should cover, I don't know, just what's said in headlines, and maybe that's it. Well, anyway, all right. Well, I'm going to end here. I think tonight has been interesting. There will be a lot more to this stuff, I'm sure. There's a lot of things that I haven't covered as they go through this, but what I'm interested in, I'd like to actually watch that documentary. I'd like to sit down and do that. What do you think about doing that on Rumble? Going over there and watching it, because I don't see us being able to do that here. But on Rumble we could go through the Russell Band Channel 4 documentary. We could actually watch it. Like I said, I think we'd probably have to end up. It might be up for a little bit. They probably demand that it be taken down, but we could at least go through the damn thing because it's out there. It's available. But anyway, all right. Let's call it here. It's been interesting. All right. Appreciate you folks, by the way. We'll have a good video tomorrow. There's a very good video for tomorrow. You will very much enjoy it. It's crazy. I'll drop that and then we'll see. Maybe we'll talk about everything that went on with it. There's plenty to talk about. But anyway, until tomorrow.